Not at all.
All right.
So we were surprised. You know, John Farrar 172, I'm 165, and I thought we were fast upwind.
Agree.
Not like blistering, kiss my ass fast, but you know, we could get past and we could pass people.
What
And
centerboard did you have?
Pardon?
What centerboard were you using?
I think it's the long
Olga.
Olga, which Russell thinks won't measure in.
The Supermax.
I don't know what condition your pin was in, but
no, I don't know. I have
if that was the
very little
sailing
knowledge,
condition of the board, then
Why wouldn't it measure, Russell? Why wouldn't
on the trailer it wouldn't
when
quite
we
go
put it
into
up
the
on the
boat.
trailer, it wouldn't fit into the trunk, and I just called to his attention that
that's a problem.
I don't know what condition your pin is in or anything like that.
Macy, you're off the clock. Take that lawyer thing and put it in your back pocket.
But if that
I'll
is
withdraw.
a position that you can use while sailing, this would not measure in at a measured event.
So we're using a pretty big board. So
Yeah,
we're using big board, you know.
Light crew.
But I think what ended up happening is we had flooding tide with sea breeze. So we had pretty smooth sea state, even though it was windy.
Yeah, so you can go high and slow.
Yeah, so we weren't, the transition from displacement to planing was pretty lovely. You could just say, are you ready to put the bow down? And you could just go into the mode and see if you were VMGing against someone. As opposed to like through waves, I think that transition's a lot more challenging. Like I think we would have been in a world of pain if it was, you know, current against wind, same exact conditions. I was just surprised though that you can sail light in that, and I mean, we were really raked at times, you know, really bored up and sending it upwind, and it felt great. Now it's a small fleet too, like you didn't have to keep lanes. Like if it was a world's fleet, I don't think we would have gotten away with that nonsense. But you know, in a 10-boat fleet, I think we did.
I sailed for many years at a combined weight of 320. You know, and you just learn how to do it. It's okay. It's still different now with the big kites, but still.
Yeah, but there weren't as many big crews back then, Ethan.
I know, that's true. But there were a few.
Not that many.
I think with the rigs as tunable as they are, if you know how to tune the rig to your setup, you can make it work.
Especially in flat water.
Yeah. And to hear that you had the larger board, it kind of makes sense now that you guys were able to sail the way you did upwind, because, you know, more surface area, like lift is a function of surface area. So that those boards are always great, especially in the light and marginal stuff, right? And then I bet you guys had a really hard time when it got windier and you were overpowered and needed to just plane hard. I bet you had a hard time depowering the rig enough and depowering the board enough to go fast.
Yeah, we even in the breeze, we didn't feel way off the pace. I mean, we weren't.
Yeah.
You know, Kivney, we were around Kivney a lot, and Gordon's pretty big.
Yeah.
They were higher than us, but we were VMGing most of the time. You know, I was surprised, and I didn't go to the lifting pin. I didn't want to add too much complexity to our life yet, nor have I pulled that line or know how it works. But I did. You know, we were out of the jibe early, and we're lifting the board past fixed significantly, and really raking hard. We had to put our reef in.
So if you go in steps, right? And like step 1 is your rake forward, and step 2 is your vertical, and step 3 is your first increment of raising the board. Like, how many increments of raised board are you when your board stops jiving? Like 2? It doesn't happen the first time you pick it up, right? But it happens soon after?
I haven't tested it. I'm
Okay.
reading what the board says. It says jibe, fix.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. So it's the first step is fix.
Okay. All right.
Because I think the Holger boards have
the wings,
little ears.
Yeah.
So it comes out of the jibe pretty quickly.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that as soon as you pull the board up past vertical, it stops the jibe.
And is it binary? It's either jiving or stopped?
Correct.
Okay.
Small ramp.
Although there was one time going downwind when it was in the fixed zone when we got into speed wobbles, and I was like, that doesn't seem fixed to me. when the boat just
click.
Yeah, it just starts clacking back and forth, and you think the world's about to end.
That means you weren't heading high enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. That's a good sign you're trying to sail too low.
Like, this is the 9th sign, so I think I should listen to this.
Could be tactical. No. We'll leave it to tactical. Yeah.
9 signs.
Well, Ethan, Macy, you guys missed a really good one.
Yeah, I was surprised because I was watching the weather, I will say, rather compulsively, and I thought it was windier earlier in the day on Saturday. So I was surprised to hear Mike's description of it.
Well, the all the sensors in that area are like the closest. What one were you looking at?
I can't remember.
So like a couple of things. First, we had a strong flood the whole time. That takes a bit off it. Like 16 feels like 14 with a big flood. And all the meters up there are super high up and nice fresh air, and we were just downwind of the Jamestown Bridge, so there's still a little bit of disturbance there. And and between that and the flood, it was just not that, I mean, once it started cooking, it came in, it was windy, but like that transitional zone, in our boat, we must have said 1,000 times, it's just not as windy as it looks. Like we were tricking ourselves a lot.
Down here in Baltimore, it looked pretty nice up there.
Well, there's always 10 knots out in the bay.
From my perspective, it looked nice.
Yeah, the best thing about Wickford is the short sail.
That's right. I knew that was coming.
Nice. All right. So what have we learned?
Well, John, you guys were pretty quick day 1. Not as quick day 2.
No, much less quick.
So what did you see?
Well, I was listening to everybody here. We were passed downwind by Russell, and we passed Russell downwind, all in the same race. I just thought it was quite spotty. And we're trying to figure out boat setup still. And we're playing right now with, the jib in and out and the various speed ranges. I got wind ranges. And I felt it hard. I liked when we were near people, trying to gauge our speed with them. But I felt there was, even though the breeze was up and it continued to build, I still felt that, as you guys had said earlier, lots of lulls, and if you fell out of the pressure, it really didn't matter. So I don't know. I'm just trying to gauge our boat next to other boats, and we didn't get that opportunity that often. I know, Russell, you remember going upwind, there was a couple of times when we were sailing next to each other, but a lot of times we were coming at each other from opposite sides.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm still just trying to figure out our boat setup. I think at times we had it. At times we didn't. I don't know. There's just a lot with the jib in and out, and then the various vang and main sheet combinations for height and twist. And I don't know. Just I think, Luke and I are talking about it, and when we're trying to get height and when we're trying to scoot. So we're just trying to figure it out still. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to offer other than those are the things we're playing with.
When you guys were fast, when you felt like you were gaining, was it like one component, like powered up, we were higher, same speed, or, down power, we were like, were you in anywhere within the quadrants of good and bad?
I don't want to fool ourselves. At times we thought, oh my goodness, look how much faster we are. And we could have been close to another boat, but you get in these situations where you might be 25 yards away from another boat, but you clearly are in better or worse breeze. So how do you? I remember, that was upwind. I thought that at times we were scooting and had height on Matt and Russ, but that was at one point, and then at another point, I felt like we weren't as fast, and then downwind, they passed us downwind to leeward. And then the next downwind leg, same race, we passed them to windward. We sailed right by them, and
So that pass you guys got on you executed that when you on the jibe, right? You guys positioned yourselves correctly, jibed at the same time, and that's when you executed the pass.
Yeah,
for sure.
I felt like, Russell, when we jibed, you guys had clear air, and I felt like we had better breeze. But I also felt like the downwind leg before that, you guys were to leeward and somehow had better breeze. And, we were in front at that point, and you sailed right not through us.
John, I think those were those lanes of breeze. Like if someone was in a lane, they were hammering. And if you weren't, you were like up and slow.
And you can't read too much into the boat speed stuff for that. You just can't.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to figure out is our boat speed. I mean, it's great to be a great tactician or to call the shifts or to see the puffs and connect the dots and all that, which I think was going on out there all day long. And again, we're still. It's great when you can do that, but I think for us anyway, our boat, we're still focusing on that straight line speed, and whether we're trying to be high or high and fast, or putting the bow down and even faster. So and how to make that happen. So we're kind of novice, but that's what we're working on. And we had a few opportunities when we were sailing, right near people, and I felt like we were in the same breeze, and we were making adjustments to obviously try to be faster. I think at times I felt like we made the right adjustments, and what we were working on was jib in and out, opening and closing the slot, and vang so that we could be more center line with the boom without tipping over. So we'd ease the vang. This is stuff you guys have all taught me. So, that's what we've been playing. That's what we've been trying to do.
John, I think you guys are not lacking in boat speed, and probably where you're feeling like you're tripping is like in a transition or something like that. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to learn in this class is how to change the gears efficiently through transitions. And I've always thought that the really good guys, they don't over flatten in the lull because they are changing their vang setting or sheet setting, or they're already toggling up going into it, and so they maintain, they're kind of like maintaining that speed that they had going into the lull most of the way through, whereas folks that don't nail the transition are they almost like hit a brick wall and then need to try and accelerate with no power.
And Russell, this
opposite
was,
going into the puff.
This was like a master class in transition, because
totally.
It was like rake, shrouds, ram down, and reverse it.
Yeah. It was a really hard gear changing day.
It was hard. Like John would ask me a question. He's like, "What do you think the shift is?" I'm like, I haven't paying attention to anything for 45 seconds because I've just been spooling through the cycle,
Right.
you know, to try and get her back and being like, I don't know, feels like we're going good again. Like, you tell me what to do.
Yeah,
And,
you should have said that's your job, John.
you know, I can have an opinion, but I thought it was, you know, 3 or 4 times a beat you could be going through. And I think it had everything to do with these downwind lanes that you're coming into breeze and then coming out of breeze. And I don't think it was as easy to see it going upwind as it was to see it going downwind. But I enjoyed it because Allery wasn't there to tell me what to do. I had to figure it out on my own, and I had to do it like 9 times per race. And I was like, huh, that's good. That's good practice. But it was a lot of gear shifting, John.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We were within, and it was, again, just we're trying to make sure we're going quickly. And so those opportunities when we were side by side with somebody were few and, far between really. But, so it was hard to gauge our speed. That's what we're always looking for is, are we going as well as you guys or not,
So my recommendation on that stuff is don't chase the rig tune too much. Pay more attention to your main sheet and your jib sheet. Don't fuss with a vang and try to sail the boat properly unless it's really huge. Right. I think you get better results focusing on just sailing what you have and sailing through the spots where you might be a little bit too stood up or a little bit too rigged, but don't start changing everything around. Otherwise you start sailing the boat really poorly and you're giving it up.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's something that Luke and I talk about a lot is, trying to judge, okay, is this going to be a sustained change or, do we tough through it and just tough through it, whether it's overpowering or underpowering. Yeah, I agree.
You're better set up for the lulls, I think, in general, because you can always deal with the pus with sheet tension. But
right.
I mean,
I actually think in smooth water you can change gears faster because it's not as disruptive to look in the boat.
So how many times do you change your vang upwind, for example, and on this recent regatta?
I was probably only changing rake and shrouds maybe 3 times a beat.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
maybe more.
I wouldn't even bother with that personally.
But it made a huge difference, you could see when, anyway.
When you get it right.
Maybe vang double that 6 times.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And then I was going through enough rake that I felt compelled maybe twice to go to ram down or ram up. And then because I didn't want to break the rig, I always cleated everything properly back because that would have been bad.
Yeah.
Also, that first race was 50 or 52 minutes long. It was a longer race. That was a long race.
That was a really long race.
That was the only time we went around the full F-18 course, right?
Right.
And what do you think was the range of wind speed? More than we had in Annapolis on Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Way more?
No, you were fully committed hot running.
No, but it was I think it was plus you had a delta of 6 from the lowest lulls to the highest puffs. It was
and it was I would say that was 8 to 14. Same, that would be my range. I hate when people talk about numbers because everybody has a different. In college, I always make kids talk about were there four butt cheeks on the rail, or is anybody hiking? Because
So you're going from overpowered running to sitting in upwind.
Yeah,
never sitting in.
Just about.
Never sitting in. We were never sitting in anyway.
But starting to crouch.
It was marginal trapezing upwind, right? The crew was maybe not off the wire, but was coming into the boat periodically.
Yeah.
And the first run was sit running.
Oh wow.
Okay. And then the second beat was you were committed to the wire, but it wasn't full toggle down, fully powered. You were still searching for power on the wire. And then the second run was a definite wire run.
So to me, that sounds.
I think the 6 to 14 is probably pretty accurate.
All right. So to me, that sounds like about 2 inches of head stay between first beat and the last beat.
So 9 to 7.
Yeah, 0 to 2.
Yeah, right. Touche.
So 2 inches of head stay ease. I don't know how you want to work it, but
yeah.
My range for the regatta was 11 inches.
Wow. But
that's always your range, Mike.
We're talking about.
Well, I mean, when we were just wired, we were,
25.8. Yeah.
Yeah, we were 8+.
Or forward of
Yeah, we were 8+ in the almost 9, and I mean, Russell, it's different. I was hearing you talking. John was double arms overhead when you were marginal trapping.
Well, I mean, he weighs 170 pounds. I have
we established
almost 50 pounds just in the difference on the wire there. So,
but it was then we were down to 0.
Yeah. Wow.
It was I thought it was a lot of transition.
The same
no,
race?
not in the same race.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, that race they blew off. That was fully legit windy. That was windy.
I think you could have gone between 2 and 3 inches in a race of rake range, of head stay range in a race.
But that's learn to sail the boat like Ethan does, right? Because he's not having the drag of, looking at his feet for half the time, not, looking up, screwing around. And then also you're on the other side of that, you're like better at dealing with the changes. So it's like a double positive. But you have to be able to, mode differently, like physically sailing the boat and big ropes.
And once it gets breezy, those settings are more important for sure. Uprange.
So switching topics a little bit, Russ, Mike and I were talking about pullback running today. Like when you guys are soak wiring, you're pulling the pullback a little bit?
No. None. I think you can try to do it, but usually that's a bit of a hassle, and it just ruins your mojo, and you lose any apparent that you had, and then you have to sail higher in less wind to try and get it back. So no, just don't do it. Just toggle up and have your crew take a step forward, slide forward in the boat as a skipper, and slide in a little bit.
Would you say the same if it was also waves?
For waves, so when you're trying to work waves and you're on the wire?
Yeah.
And definitely don't mess with the pole then. Definitely don't want to.
Well, I'm not saying mess with it, but just like set it, one way or the other.
Just
like sail
on the
around
head stay, man. Just on the head stay. Yep.
So I thought I was, we were our boat handling downwind was absolute catastrophe at all times, but occasionally we went fast, and I felt like I was playing the bang a lot downwind, like it was, go to
the bang or the pole. You were asking me about the pole.
Right. Now I'm switching again.
Okay.
Like I feel like when I stop hiking, I pull a little bang on, and everything gets nicer, and then we get the puff back, and I find that's the like trigger of the mode switch for me. It always comes with bang. Does anybody else do that?
Yep, we do that too, David.
Yeah.
The other thing I think to keep in mind there, and when you're thinking about, when you're on the wire and the different modes going downwind in your main sheet trim, is that, I think when you're high wire and you're trying to soak low, your boom is going out past the edge of the transom, and you probably need more vang. which I think is what you were just explaining. And then when you're hammering it and sending it, I think you need to have your main trimmed actually, and not try to not let it out, and just dump a lot of twist and ease into the main.
Yeah, I think that's exactly, it's, I mean, it's frightening amounts of twist, but it seems to go really well.
Yeah, that's what you were saying up front, I thought. That's what you were saying.
Yeah,
okay. We're all on the same page then. Yeah. I think that's really important. And if you try to hammer it and you've got a lot of vang on and you need to let the boom out and it hits the water.
It hits the water and then you're dead.
Not only is it just slow as like an air brake back there, it's, you can cause yourself issues.
It air dams against the water, it pivots the bow down, it does everything you don't want it to do.
Yeah. So that switch is pretty key for a mode change going downwind. But as far as pole trim, I think if it's like a long run, and I wouldn't do it if it's wavy, because then the conditions are too dynamic. But if it's flat water and you're going to be short wire pretty much the whole time, sure, go ahead and pull it back a little bit. But I generally think that's not worth it.
There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of need for adjustable guys in reality. I mean, we move the pole just a little bit, or unless it's light air, then you're doing it by hand.
Right. No, the purchase system is a hindrance when you're sit running. Like if that was your mode to do it, you would have an entirely different system. It sucks to do that.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying they had a banjo for the crew, like a loop on where it runs back inside the boat to go to the skipper 3-to-1. They had like a loop that the crew just banjos the thing the whole run. That seemed like almost a good idea.
For going deep, or for
for sit running. Like,
so
were you telling me that?
No, it wasn't me. We've got a cleat on the sort of top of the deck, right inside the shroud, and you just take it straight from the rail to there. And then you can, so that brings it back to wherever you kind of want it to be at its most forward, and then you can play it from there.
Right.
Macy's trying to talk.
Uh-oh.
I see him getting nervous. Come on, turn your mood off.
You're on mute, Macy.
I'll just unmute him. I think I can.
I was thinking about your comment about not needing adjustable guys. Would you take yours off?
Well, that's what I was thinking. We just don't use it that much. I mean, usually we use it because I haven't set it right before the first run. But, every once in a while I use it. But the reality is it really could be just a simple cleat up on the rail and be done with it. And then, or you could have it come back, so that the skipper can banjo it or the crew can pull on it or something. But, having all that purchase and the cleat system in the boat is like, I don't really know if it's worth it. I'm always liking to minimize things,
Right, but you're the one who came up with the idea of the big boat guy system.
Yeah, I know, but that's different. Yeah, we still want to use that. I'm not giving that up.
It's interesting.
But I think like Allie used it for a while with just a cleat on the shrouds. I believe. And, the reality is most of the time that would probably work just fine. In the breeze, you're not going to fool with it.
7200 is still that way.
What's that?
His boat is still that way.
Yeah.
No adjustable guy.
Well, it's adjustable, just not easily.
And the way to get around that is the crew just picks up the weather sheet, pulls the pole back to get the pressure off.
And a much better
skipper
angle.
then sets the guy in the cleat where it needs to be, and the crew can drop it, and you're done.
Yeah.
Right? Just a little bit of coordination and practice. And
the reality is you probably shouldn't be doing that unless there's been a mistake.
Right.
Well, yeah, or something changed radically.
Right.
So Ethan, if you're so prone to screwing it up, like, are you just like have very variable bowline tying technique?
I don't know. Just, I've got the systems there, and if I don't pay attention, if we don't practice and set it up before the race, you know, they're probably wherever we left it last time.
Right.
Maybe. It's okay. Just, you know, I'd love to get rid of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stepped into a pretty complicated boat, you know, a German Holger setup, and since I'm not familiar with it, you know, there's just lines everywhere. It doesn't bother me. Like Pete's yelling, "Pull the black thing by your right calf." I'm like, "What am I doing?" And I'm pulling the pole back. I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty clever."
Yeah.
But I do think if I re-rigged this boat myself, I would want to, you know, shit can a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually, if you can ignore it, it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
I think it's very different, like setting a boat up for long course worlds racing versus like short course regional racing. And it really depends on your style of sailing too.
Well,
you know?
and Pete set these boats up for Hasso, who was used to having, you know, all systems work perfectly in a lot of them,
German.
you know, because it was big boats.
And,
But yeah,
and for bigger events,
bigger courses.
longer
Except
events.
that letting the rake back in your boat, you know, having tried to do it an hour ago, it doesn't work well at all. It doesn't fall back.
No, I liked 7318. We came up with the floppers on the
Yeah, that was a good system.
on the tank. It was a really great system.
All right. So Keith, you're sitting out there all quiet. You guys had some good races. He's making
Sorry.
part of the lifestyle.
I'm dealing with dogs here.
Yeah.
Dogs going crazy. I'm gonna get back to you in a second.
Dogs gone wild.
Dogs gone. So we previewed this weekend the fixture for the 2021 Region 1 and perhaps Worlds accommodation of the MV Fabuloso. And let me tell you what a surprise hit that was.
He's talking about Mike Zani's Power Cat. Is that
Oh,
Power Cat?
okay.
Thing is awesome.
It was not a Chris Craft Commander, but it was a close second.
And you're gonna take it?
To the Worlds?
Yeah. That's a for sure now?
No, it's not a for sure, but we're still thinking about it. Because we don't want to screw up a Worlds by like barely getting there and then being all, you know, chicken winged.
You gotta take it a lot earlier and fly back. Yeah, get that.
Well, we want to sail the North Americans. I guess we could sail on the other boat, but
it's still a big window. You got like a 3-week window between. You only need 2.5 days to get there.
No, you need 4 because of fuel.
No,
and
do your
it's
big bladder
hurricane
idea.
season.
Go fast.
It's not the fuel prices. It's just running out of fuel is not a good look.
No, but you got your bladder system.
Yeah, carrying another, you know, 3,000 pounds is not necessarily great either.
2 5.0s rigged perfectly on the bow.
No, it's hurricane season, so October it could be active. So we're not 100%. You know, shipping the boats would be easy, but we're still thinking about it. I would love to send the boat with boats on the deck.
All right, so Keith's back now. You still got dogs?
No, still a little quieter.
Yeah.
I guess my question was maybe to the top guys in the second day, how they played the last 25-30% of the weather leg, how they worked the west side, because it felt like that was a lot of the race, because we're somewhat close over there, and people either got right and broke away, and other people didn't. don't know if Mike or someone has comments about that.
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
Sure. Just the second day,
Mm-hmm.
the west side had sort of seemed to me like a different direction and strength of the breeze, and getting to the right side of the course, at least in the last 25% of the leg, seemed to make a difference. At least that was my point of view, and I wanted to think about how you guys played the first leg of this on the second day.
Of which race?
Let's go with the second race or the first race.
The second race was when we had like a 20-degree righty.
Yeah.
That was.
Then the third race. How about the third race after that? Same sort of situation. It was phasing in and out there on the right side.
We were the rabbit in the third race and went right, and it didn't look good early, but looked good later.
Yeah.
Our philosophy all weekend was just get in pressure. It'll be obvious what tack you need to be on. Now, sometimes you ran out of track, and that was unfortunate because you couldn't go the direction you wanted to. But even in the top third, that was just like getting the pressure was more important than anything else. And even if you only had 45 seconds on attack, get in the right phase, take it. Who knows? It might come back to you. So we were just trying to get in the pressure, and it was obvious which tack you should be on.
So in the first beat of the last race, we came out of the left leading. Pete and John were on our hip. We crossed Mike and Farrar because we actually gave them a nice fat lane. They were like, 30, 40 seconds shy of the starboard lay line. We gave them a nice fat lane because we wanted to be right of them, and we didn't want to convince them to get right of us. And then Peter and John came over and smashed them, bounced them out to the right, and they wound up with like a 50-yard lead at the top mark. And I felt like that shift was there quite a lot. Like Kivney caught the elevator on that thing one time and passed like 4 boats in the last minute and a half of the beat. It was crazy.
So as if you look at the kind of bathymetry of the racing area there, right? One thing in the West Passage, kind of towards the leeward mark or the starting area, it's all really pretty deep. But up there by the bridge where that lighthouse was sticking out from the western shore, I think there was some serious current relief to be had in the top right. And then on top of that, generally speaking, this wasn't always true, but generally speaking, as the thermal built, the pressure and puffs were right-handed. So it was kind of as far as like the strategic discussion ahead of time, ahead of the race between Matt and I, it was, I was standing up in the crow's nest trying to see, halfway to all the way up the course, what the major pressure is doing and tracking where it's going to be on the course. Is it course middle? Is this one going course left? Is it going to be filtering down to the right? And kind of talking about what's going to be the best pressure area in the first third to half of the beat, or at least at the start, so that you get that right. And then from there, it was a bit of what Mike said. Make sure you're in the pressure. Do not be in a lull. Avoid lulls, and then try and get the bow pointed in the right direction, but always be in pressure. And usually that meant that you were trying to touch back to the right-hand side, especially up top. It just seemed like there was just more consistent pressure along the shoreline up there. or you could reliably count on a puff coming through. Whereas, you know, out left, there were some really good puffs, but sometimes they were out of play, like, you know, just too far off the course, or they weren't there as reliably.
Both days they moved the top mark right late for, you know, the third race, and both times I think the right came, you know, as you shifted the course right, the top right became even more better. Yeah. You know, and that would agree with Russell's thing about the current, because you're getting more into that. Is that Fox Island? That little light?
Yeah.
That's not Fox Island.
Fox Island Light, I think, is what they call it.
Right. So before the regatta, I reached out to Moose McClintock, who knows the bay pretty well, and he said if it's more southeast and the mark's in the left-hand shore pays. If the mark is more southwest and it's in the right-hand shore pays. In general, and that's, I mean, I've got a text from him saying that. And Lars Gook, who is, you know, tied for first in the Formula 18s, those guys were going left hand. Almost the whole fleet all the time was just going left hand. They had a little longer course than us, except for the first race. But it seemed.
Don't you think that's a function of it's really difficult to tack a catamaran and stay fast? Like, you just lose so much.
Yeah, but I think if the right was paying, then they would have all boxed right, not boxed left. They had that option. And I think the top people are good enough. Lars is certainly good enough that he's not going the wrong way for boat handling purposes.
Yeah, but the boat still has like a large tacking loss. Like, even if you tack it the best you can, there's still like you pay a lot to tack that boat.
Yeah, and you can, like, in a long march to a side, it's like the guys who get flushed early are the guys who you don't care if they get leverage because they're not going fast enough to hang in the stack, and like they're going to go away. So and the guys who can hang longer, it's almost worse for them because you like bleed them to death all the way out to the corner, and then you tee them up for the whole way back in. So if you can do that move right in really shitty tacking boats, it's good. Like, that's a windsurfing move for sure.
Right. So it tells you that they're going to do the left box or the right box.
Yeah.
They're not
right.
No.
And they were doing the left box.
Well, they started
Yeah.
Yeah. Start on starboard. And no one must have made the right work. Although I did see them, they did work the right going downwind, but upwind right. They were working that side with those blasters coming off that shore. So, but it was interesting. So I do think there was a little bit the reason I brought that up is I think there's a little bit of a geographic play there. Russell's point, top right.
Yeah. And then that second race, the cue to me was the heat clouds. They were the classic tiny little low altitude heat clouds that said, yeah, this thermal is definitely happening. And, the way the weather system was set up, this is going to be a big right shift with pressure. Just have faith. And it didn't look good early in the race, but then, I don't know, halfway through the beat, that puff and shift came, and see you later. It was a home run.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was fun.
As someone who was winning the left, I didn't think it was very fun.
I'm sure.
I was like, oh my God, we worked so hard. But I think it's a really good call. That's a really good call. But Keith, I mean, it's still like, if Russell's standing up looking at breeze and divining clouds, we weren't doing that. I mean, we were looking upwind, but maybe not as hard, which is maybe a lesson to be learned. But it's just sort of put your boat in the breeze, and it'll be obvious what tack you're on, and that.
Yeah, I thought we were in touch with you guys coming out of the left there, and the difference was I saw that right, and we just got into a little bit of a lack of breeze, and I saw the righty, and we just didn't go far enough. If we'd got another 6-7 boat lengths, it would have changed the race for us. And instead I tacked into that, figuring that we could lay, and we would get that breeze, but it just didn't come down to us. And the people got it. Definitely, like in this class, the boat speed matters, and you got to go get the breeze. And I sort of missed that call. And that was a very painful lesson to watch that, because I thought we were in touch with you for the first time. I thought, a little bit. We're close enough to see you. And we,
for sure. You tacked on us, and we had you like Dave said, you popped us out.
Yeah.
Hey, Macy, don't go yet. Got a question for you. Can I change the topic briefly?
Change it.
There's some talk about having the North Americans in Clearwater in February. And that's been brought up by the Californians as part of the Great Circle route of shipping they're doing. Are you guys think that's okay or not? I haven't gotten any real direction from the class at this point, but the club can do it and Donna Sue can run it. I think we could do it at Clearwater if we want to do it.
Personally, I'm strongly in favor.
Yeah, Ethan, from the executive class, that's kind of like the plan that we had that was happening.
No one said anything to me about it. That's all.
Okay, I thought we had
what,
we had talked about it like a long time ago, so
yeah, 6 months
we
ago,
just need to say it
that's
again.
Still the plan.
Ethan, bear off and put the bow down, will you?
Okay. I'll do it. Done. I know
You
it's
still want my
an idea.
input, Ethan?
What's that?
You still want my input?
Sure.
All right, I would have said 15 years ago was a mistake, but there've been a few instances when we've totally mixed up the scheduling and have had really great events. So I'd say my instinct is to go for it.
Well,
I worry though that we might not get a lot of East Coast guys.
Why?
Why wouldn't you? It's cheap and easy to leave your boat down there and do like 2 events in a training weekend if we can get all that together.
I mean, I'm going to be there. I'm not saying I won't be there. I'm just saying that sometimes I feel like the Florida events are quite close to the holidays, and people are still sort of in the holiday mode. But these are February dates, right?
yeah, late February.
Late February.
Well, third week.
Do you know if it's President's Week? Is that?
If you hold on a second, I'll tell you. I moved it back as far as I could.
You said the breeze is better later too, right?
Yes, I think so. It's more predictable. 17th through 20th is sort of what we're thinking. Of February.
Okay.
And when would the midwinters be?
When would they be?
Yeah.
Oh, it moves around a little. It depends on other regattas that are going on there, so it does move around a little bit, but typically a little earlier. I don't know if we'd have them midwinters. We probably wouldn't.
Huh. Could we?
We could do training weeks, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for up here at least, the week after that is the school holiday break.
Okay.
I
think there was a problem.
I don't know if that's good or bad, and I don't know if it's true in Rhode Island either. So that's.
Ethan, is there a reason why you wouldn't do midwinters? Is it because it's too much work and to do 2 regattas?
You got to realize that everyone's just come off of potentially going to a Worlds, and they may not have the financial or the time to do it, do 2 events. So you just kind of have to pick your one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could. It's possible we could do it. I can do it. And I don't know if Florida boats can all do it. But
I was just thinking, if people are making the effort to go down there and get their boat down there,
right?
The East Coast people, I guess, is what Macy was talking about. I know it sounds like Mike would be all in. I know, we're always eager to go down there, and if we could get a couple of regattas in a row, that would be.
Well, we could probably pretty easily do a training event and then a midwinters or something prior to that.
Yeah.
Probably all at the sailing center, Clearwater.
Yeah, one location, keep the boats. You don't have to plug in and plug out the mast. You do one rig.
Yep.
And 2 regattas and a training event, you know, maybe everyone shoots to get at least 2 out of 3 and
Right.
3 out of 3 if they can. Then it's a little bit like we've got our Etchel's Jaguar series or Star Masters series equivalent. It's a nice program.
Yeah.
It's a great program.
Okay.
So similarly, we had some interest among people on this call and others to do more New England sailing than maybe they had thought. And I'm not fully nailed down with Sail Newport on it yet, but I will get them to the corner of, if you register by X date for Newport Regatta and North Americans, you can leave your boat and Sail Newport Dinghy Park between them. If people want to come up for BBR, come up, out, down, sideways, we will, you know, and leave your boat. We will figure out where to put it securely, safely, all that stuff. So, you know, the message going out is what it takes to get to people to come to BBR and Newport Regatta. Great conditions, you know, great regattas. We'll do whatever it takes to get boats there. I'm looking at you, Ethan, and you, Macy.
Yeah, we're coming.
I can't
Yeah.
do
I'll be at PBR.
it. I can't
Yeah,
do
you can't do Newport, right? You can do BBR though, Ethan.
I think that's correct.
You got the windmill thing later?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
All right, gang.
All right.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. That
Great.
was cool.
Hey, good to see all of you.
Yeah, see y'all soon.
See you soon.
You
Bye-bye.
should do this for every East Coast event.
Yeah,
okay.
why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right. I'll put this on YouTube too.
Good.
Bye.
You look good, Macy.
All right.
You look well. Take care.